Hello guys, welcome back to another video by JMadden. I'm going to be doing a quick update on the 28-gallon JBJ. It's been 12 days since adding the deep sand bed in here. I'm going to be talking about what's been going on with the anemones, as well as talking about that deep sand bed and how it's progressing. First things first, you'll notice that the rock work is slightly different from the last video. In the last video, that there was a large branching piece of tonga that went from the center of the tank over to the right hand side, front right corner. And I like the way this was initially, but as my bubble tip anemones started moving around, getting settled in with the flow pattern in the tank, I didn't like how the tank looked. I didn't have much depth, and what I mean by depth is that I wanted to have, some rocks in the front, like the one over here on the left where you see the clownfish in that bubble tip anemone. I wanted that rock forward, kind of close to the front, and then on the right side of the tank I kind of wanted to slope back so I have a lot more open sand bed in the right side of the tank. And with that branch being there, it just didn't look right. So I moved it over to the right, laid it down. I'll kind of give you a look at it here. You see all the branches on it sticking out, and a branch comes down over here, which is pretty cool. It's just kind of floating over the sand bed. As soon as I moved this rock, I thought instantly, man, I can easily put some SPS frags on the tip of this and it's just going to look amazing as they grow out. So that's what my plan is for that. As you can see here, I'll give you a quick look on the deep sand bed. Those of you that are familiar with the nitrogen cycle, there it is, it's already happening. Lots and lots of bubbles, all the way down on all sides of the tank. And this is exactly what you want to see happen. Starting out with live sand really expedites the process of that denitrification through the release of nitrogen gas bubbles. Next thing I want to talk about are the bubble tip anemones that are in here. As you recall from the last video, in this section right here, there were several bubble tip anemones. In that video you really couldn't tell, but there was actually two large bubble tip anemones. And like I said, as they got adjusted to the tank and moved around, it's a huge difference in how these anemones look from the previous video. I mean, the bulbs on them are just awesome. That was something that I really wish that my rose bubble tip anemones in my 60-gallon would have do, but they never did, because bubble tip anemones just are kind of on their own program. Some will bubble, some will not. Just give you a good shot of this here. These bubble tip anemones are kind of specific to the area over here in Colorado. They're from an original strand. These two large ones came from one single anemone 4 years ago, so they've been in captivity a long time. And that original clone came from another anemone that's been in captivity about 9 years. Whether or not that has any connection to the bulbing of the tips is beyond me. So we'll get a close look here on them, try and capture them for what they're worth. Just very gorgeous animals. Especially this one here. This one's a monster. As for the two anemones that came with me from the 60-gallon before I tore it down, I'm sad to say that I did lose the smallest of those two rose bubble tips. My MP10 got a hold of it. It was moving around the tank a lot, and the pump took it out. So that's really unfortunate. It was doing really well. The other one has settled back here, and it moved around for a few days around this rock on the top, and then it finally has been sitting here for about 4 days now. It's eating really well. The tips are bubbling up nicely. I'm curious to see if this anemone will end up having bubbles in this tank when it was long and slender in the 60-gallon. And there's another shot of this anemone over here. I mean, they're just gorgeous. Green base inside around the oral disc, white speckling around the mouth of the anemone, nice big fat bubbles, and kind of orangish pink tentacles on it. And of course, my clownfish are doing great. One of the adjustments I made is up there on the top left to the drain. I turned it to about a 45-degree angle. Before, when it was pointing straight up, the water level was probably only about 1/8 of an inch above it, if that, and it just made a really loud gurgling sound, and it wasn't skimming the surface very well. So I tilted it over and put a snail guard on it, you know, just a little pre-filter guard, plastic guard to keep the snails from getting down inside there. And now it's nice and quiet. You know, the tank is virtually silent sitting here with the occasional little bit of splashing, but no big deal. The MP10 on the right is currently the only pump that's running. The MP10 on the back of the tank I turned off. I just did this because the amount of flow in here is just crazy. We're going to go ahead and try and see if there's a way to incorporate that later on in some form or fashion once I get some SPS in here. So yeah guys, that's basically going to be it for this update on the 28 gallon JBJ. As always, thanks for watching. Many more videos still to come. If you guys have any requests or any kind of questions related to this tank, or maybe just some questions about your systems and you'd like some feedback from me, feel free to ask. I'd be more than happy to let you know my feelings. Thanks for watching everyone. More videos still to come.